Um, I call them they, but they are huge groups. There are many different types, and there are many different types of craft. The huge mother craft are like cities within cities. They're enormous. That's where the laboratories are. And the little craft are the ones that you see going back and forth. Those are the smaller ones. The bigger, larger ones are the huge mother craft. And they have many people on board these craft of different races from all over the universes. It's much bigger and much wider than you could ever imagine. But they all have their jobs to do, and there are things that they're involved with. Some people talk about the ones that look like insects. They said that's because they're different types of beings have gone in different directions. Some went the insect line, the insectoid. Other ones went the reptilian type. We went the mammal line. It could be anything, any type of life. That's just the way they went. Doesn't mean there's anything negative about it. It means they function in a different way, different mentalities, but it's just different forms of life. They don't like the fact that we're doing all these horrible things. That's what they said. They can't understand how we can kill someone of our own kind. It just doesn't make sense to them at all. The idea they're trying to get us to change our civilization, get over this negativity because of the violence. They're very afraid of that. We can't join them until we get through with the violence and these wars that we're having right now. We have to get through all of that first. They have told me about these things because they said in the beginning when they were coming here, many groups were allowed to come because there were things on Earth they could use. And one of it was certain kinds of minerals that we don't need. They're not that important to us, but other different planets and groups, this is very important to them. Some of it they use to power their spacecraft. So they've been allowed by the councils to come and take these things over many generations. But as the world became more and more populated, they couldn't just land and take these things. Then they had to begin working with governments to make deals so that they could take the things they need. And this has come down to our time as to where they did make deals with the government, the U.S. government, different ones of the world. They could get what they wanted in exchange for things they could give our government. But they said the problem is that our government went back on the deals. And I think, how stupid can you be to try to cheat someone who can read your mind? So they began doing things that were not right. The aliens, when they make a deal, they will stick to it. But they said, we're not giving them as much as we used to. They said one of the things they gave them was in vitro fertilization and the open heart surgeries, not the open heart so much as the artificial hearts, those that were giving those kind of information. And they said a lot of the information they gave the government was supposed to be used for peace. Especially the stealth bomber, those type of information was given by the aliens. It was supposed to be for transportation. And they said the government turns around and turns it into a weapon, which was not supposed to be. In that case, they feel betrayed. So they said, we're not giving them as much information as we could. And incidentally, with Roswell isn't the only example of a crash landing. I've investigated some other ones too. There are many have come down through the recent years. And one of them was in Kentucky in the 1970s that I investigated. And the man who told me about it wouldn't allow his name or anything to be used because he had been threatened by the government. The man came to me. His wife wanted him to see me as a hypnotherapist because he was having terrible nightmares, and she knew he needed help. He said he was in the Army in a helicopter. He was not the pilot, but he was part of a group in a helicopter. And they thought a plane had crashed, and they came in with the helicopters and landed to see about the plane. Instead, they found a small craft had crashed. And when they looked inside, there were these bodies, they were all dead, and there was clear fluid everywhere. Well, right at that time, another helicopter landed, was full of officers. They came over and told them, you get back on your helicopter and get out of here, and we'll see you back at the base. When they got back to the base, they went under 24 hours of like brainwashing, saying you did not see what you thought you saw, there was nothing there, you know, that kind of thing. Then they told them, if you ever tell anyone about this, we will hunt you down and kill you and your family. Then they took all of those men and shipped them, transferred them to different bases so they would never have contact again. So I know there has been many of these cases, besides just the one in Roswell. And when I asked them about that, they said, normally our pilots are very good, but if they are caught in a thunderstorm, it's something about the electromagnetic field, it could cause the craft to crash. And I know in Roswell they did have a bad thunderstorm at that time. But as a rule, it's very rare for it to happen. The little grays are not what people think they are. They are robotic creatures. I called them a robot one time, and they said, it's not exactly a robot, it is a biologically created being. And you know, if we get around to making robots, we're going to make them look just like little humans. Say the smaller version of the tall gray scientists that are on the laboratory craft. Right? When they travel by shifting their vibrations and frequencies. All they have to do is raise the vibration of the craft. It's like watching a fan blade or a propeller on a plane. When it speeds up, it becomes invisible. That's what happens with them. When they speed up the vibration and frequency of the craft, it will disappear into the other dimension. People have reported seeing a light in the sky will suddenly blink out. And other times you'll see one just appear. That's when they slow down the vibration to come into our atmosphere. This is very hard on them. They don't like to be in our density. This is a very low, dense vibration. They would rather stay out of our atmosphere. So when they have to send the beings down to do the samplings and the testing on the humans and take them, they will always come in the small craft, and you will usually see the little gray beings. The little gray beings have been created to withstand the density of the earth, the heaviness. And that's all they are. To me, they're like, I call them gophers. They're the ones that just do the chores and do what they're supposed to do and take the things back, because it's too hard on their bodies to enter our dimension. And sometimes people have told me they have seen like tall blondes in their room, but usually they have a see-through quality. This is because it's not really them. It is like a holographic projection into the room of this being, because they don't want to experience that. So you're going to see more of the little beings in the smaller craft than you will the others, and the large craft stays out of the atmosphere. Occasionally, a person has to have tests done that will have to be done on the larger craft. In that case, they will take the person and they have to speed up the vibration and frequency of the human body so they can exist in that environment for a short period of time. They do it as quick as they can because it's very hard on the human body. And they put them into a hypnotic-like state because they don't want them to remember, they don't want it to hurt the psyche. So they take them on board the larger craft and do what they have to do and bring them back. Now, I have had people talk about waking up feeling paralyzed and with bruises on their body. And they'll say, what happened? Did they take me and beat me up? All that happened was when you do this raising of the vibration and lowering the vibration again, they said they have to lower the vibration to bring you back. Just that act of breathing can create bruises on the body because the molecular structure and the cellular structure is not by the right vibration. And then when they come back into the body, it takes a few seconds to get back into this vibration and to hook it all up again, so they have this feeling of paralysis if they happen to wake up at the wrong time. And the bruises are just from the shifting of the dimensions. To me, that makes a whole lot more sense. I've done lectures, and especially in Australia, and people would start crying in the audience, and I said, well, I hope I'm not saying something to offend you. They said, no, for the first time it all makes sense. People have told me about they've seen triangle-shaped marks on their body, usually 3 dots. They said all that is when we do take you on the craft, we're doing upgrades and testing the body. If we find that you need anything, any adjustments, they have machines that do this. Some of them make marks on the body, but they said it's not important, the mark goes away, but that's all it is. It's nothing negative as people think it is. If they're very concerned about our body and what we are doing to it, the effects of the environment and the pollution, they are also concerned with what we are eating and what we are consuming. The cattle mutilation has to do with the testing of the meat to see what is in there, what growth hormones, what additives have been put into the cattle itself. The blood, they have to check all of this because it is what we are consuming. And they said they're not doing as many of these as people blame them for. But that's all it is. They said it's not only cattle, they also test the plants, many different things that we consume to make sure it's safe for our body and what it's doing to our body. To me, that makes more sense than the other people are talking about. If there is a message from them, is that they do want us to join with them eventually, but they want us to know we are children of the stars. We have been created and taken care of since the beginning of time. They have no desire to harm us. They are our caretakers. And they love the species because they love the way it's developing. They don't like what we're doing. But if there's a message, it's to let people know that they are not negative and they are here to help us. They will eventually appear in mass, but it won't be until we get our act together. And at that time, they will appear and let everyone know they're here. And they said at that time they would also give us lots of medications and cures and help the bodies. At one time, I had a regression, which I thought was a regression. Actually, it was a future progression. A man was in a football stadium, and this huge UFO came down into the football stadium. And they got out and announced to the people they were finally going to announce themselves to the world. And they were here to help the world with the medications and all the things we were going to need. And they said this is occurring simultaneously all over the world where lots of people were gathered. They would appear instantaneously all over the world to these people. And that way the governments would not be able to deny it. But they said there will still be some people sitting in that stadium who will not believe what they see with their own eyes. But when this happens, we will be traveling in space, living in space, wonderful inventions you can't even imagine. They're going to give us a non-polluting form of power, of energy that will be placed on a space station and beamed to the Earth. And these are some of the amazing things they're going to give us. And the human body will be perfected to the point it will never die.